All right. We're good. Hello, everyone.
Konnichiwa and welcome to whatever this is gonna be called. Uh Yarp offshoots, Yarp combos, Yarp
Right.
light, Diet Yarp, I don't know. Anyway, we are here to discuss a topic that is plaguing our modern art, particularly movies and TV shows, and that is plot armor. And what used to be like, mild plot armor has become this tanky, massive, indestructible, dare I say, Beskar plot armor that seems to infiltrate every single show. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, plot armor refers to the survival factor that is applied to a character by the author or writer to basically allow them to survive a scenario that they otherwise would not survive. And like many writing tools, this can be done in various degrees. And to what degree it is done will determine whether or not you bend the viewer's suspension of disbelief or outright shatter it entirely. And depending on the universe that you're in, like, say, Star Wars being a sort of sci fi futuristic, you can kind of get away with some of it because it's like, oh, it's using material that doesn't exist in our universe. So maybe that makes sense. But the problem with having characters that have immensely thick plot armor is that there is very little tension. You don't have to worry about your character dying if he can essentially get shot in the face or take a explosion point blank and he just gets up and shakes it off like nothing happened. Because then you never get the feeling that your character or your hero is in any real danger.
Yeah. The thing that I was thinking of while you were making that little speech, I was thinking of where it lines up with the scenario. Actually, is like the first Star Wars. Stormtroopers on the Death Star have terrible aim, but that's more to facilitate the fact that they're trying to let them escape, so they can find the base later.
Right, and that's almost why I wouldn't necessarily point to that as an example because at the time as you're watching the scene you're like, "Oh, these, Obi-Wan said these stormtroopers were like really deadly. Like why does their aim really suck?" And some of that might be written off as like the technology of the time and, things like that. But we later find out as the movie progresses that it was their intention to let them escape, and so
Right.
that kind of ruins it as an example of plot armor specifically. Um, Most of the examples of really egregious plot armor, I feel, come in the newer sort of generation of movies, like especially like we said with the Beskar armor in both the Mandalorian and in the Book of Boba Fett. Same universe, obviously, but these guys are taking blasters to the chest, to the head, taking explosions at point blank range, and they're fine. It doesn't even like knock them off their feet.
Yeah. The
They're
the
literally
only
indestructible.
the only time the plot armor sort of failed to work actually was in it was Mando season 1 when that turret blew up in his face. Because remember he had
Yeah.
to get like the brain, like he got his
Well,
bell rung
but
as
that's the
Cara
thing
Dune's.
about plot armor is that it creates this sort of inconsistency because we've been shown in multiple episodes that his Beskar armor is basically impenetrable. He was running down that hallway taking, five, six blasters all firing at him at the same
God.
time and not even, giving a shit. But then conveniently, when we need something specific to happen in the plot and he needs to be hurt, the plot armor disappears, even though he's still wearing the exact same Beskar armor. And that's what becomes so infuriating about plot armor, is because the writer essentially has to remove it when they need something to happen. It's hard not to see the writer's hand in those moments. And that's what can really just break your immersion when you're involved in one of these stories. And it sucks. You
Yeah,
know,
and I feel like it's gotten a lot more literal these days because I was about to say, like, what's the distinction between like something like Mando versus like in Revenge of the Sith when Obi-Wan jumps down and does the hello there. Like, it's basically his plot armor that Grievous doesn't order all the droids to just shoot him. Like,
well, right, but this is what I'm saying, where there's like various degrees of it, because it's like
yeah,
Grievous could have ordered the drone or the robots to shoot him, but he didn't. And so
yeah.
it's like it would have been different if literally everybody shot him and then somehow he's just still there and he's fine. Like, that would have been a more egregious form of plot armor.
Mm-hmm.
But there is an argument to be made that for whatever reason, Grievous was like, I'm going to take him on my own. And
Right.
so you could say, well, that was Grievous's, poor decision making or whatever. But with stuff like what's happening in Mando and Boba Fett, it's literally you're watching them tank the hits.
Mm-hmm.
Mando gets shot with blasters. He has grenades and explosives going off next to him. He gets meleeed. What were they? The fucking Doom bots or Dark Troopers or whatever the fuck they called them.
Oh,
Those
oh
fucking
yeah,
things.
the Dark Troopers.
The
How
fucking murder bots.
it's punching him right in the face to the point that it's denting the wall behind him, and it's like
Yeah.
he's not hurt.
Well, and that's the thing. Is like you could make the argument, yeah, Beskar is unbreakable, so it wouldn't break the helmet. It's like, yeah, no, fine, but his head is still in the helmet.
Yeah,
And his helmet, it's you're banging your brain around on the inside of that helmet and literally into that wall so hard it's being dented. Like, yeah, you're gonna fucking feel that, bro.
yeah. I actually, even if we argue sci-fi tech, I follow a channel called Mike Burnfire. They're one's a Marine, one's a former Army. He fought in the Iraq War. He would talk about the differences between his combat helmet and just like a regular like helmet. And he's like, no, if I were to fall and hit my head, that's not going to stop a concussion. It'll stop a bullet, but it won't stop a concussion.
Yeah, that's not what they're designed to do.
Exactly.
And just because the helmet breaks, it's like if your head is still moving, then your brain is still moving.
Exactly. That's the reason we get knocked out is because the brain is still moving. It's jostling inside of our skull.
Right. So it's like, oh, that's still a massive concussion, if not worse. And then, in Boba, it's like you see him get jumped by the weird assassins with the electrical pokers and the shields, and it's like they hit him with the electrical sticks multiple times and basically nothing happens, but then he runs away to his back to tank, and you're just like, okay, fine. I guess they're not even as effective as regular tasers that cops have in our world, because you wouldn't be standing after that. But I don't know. It's just the way that plot armor has been utilized in most modern TV shows and movies is very disappointing. It like Black Widow is a great example. There's so many situations in that movie where she should have been absolutely
Yeah, I
dead.
that's yeah. That's why I was like I was trying to. That's why I was trying to make the distinction between like a literal versus like you can see the writer's hand version. Because with Black Widow falling down so many fucking like heights and being perfectly fine, it's like the writer just made all those surfaces pillows because we know she has to live on till Infinity War and Endgame.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about literal plot armor, I think Boba Fett and the Mandalorian are a good
Yeah,
example because they're
they're
literally
perfect
wearing armor.
examples. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically just that the armor that they're wearing is literally indestructible, which is part of the reason that I feel like they keep having them take their fucking helmets off when they're not supposed to. because they have to make them seem more vulnerable than they really are. It's like if they're covered head to toe in impenetrable armor, how are we supposed to have any stakes? And it's like, well, but you guys are the ones who put that in place. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody operated under the assumption that Mandalorian armor was fucking indestructible before The Mandalorian, when they started going into all this detail about, well, it's Beskar and it's this and that. It's like, I don't think anyone cared.
Yeah.
At least not the general audience.
Yeah,
I'm sure there might have been some EU nerds.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Beskar has always been sort of lightsaber proof, which is why it used to be very rare. It was only the Mandalore who could wear Beskar armor because he was like the top dog. So of course he should wear the lightsaber proof armor. Then, unfortunately, in Legacy of the Force, major instance of power creep, they found a new vein of it. So everybody got Beskar, and it's like, oh, that's not a good idea. Now Mandalorians are virtually unstoppable. It's why, personally, if I had to tweak anything, if I was going to make Beskar lightsaber proof, it would not only be super rare, I feel like it's got to have a lot of risk to wearing it. In my case, I would make it like a superconductor, meaning when Mando blocks like Ahsoka's lightsabers, he's feeling that heat. So underneath his arms, he's got like blisters or something. Like something.
Yeah, you'd have to have some form of drawback for it. Or maybe he has like a gauntlet or a Targe made out of Beskar so that he can block lightsabers, but not the entire suit of armor.
Yeah.
You know, make it to where he can go toe to toe with someone that has a lightsaber, but he's not completely invulnerable from head to goddamn toe. That's where it becomes too much. You know, you need, anytime you introduce a powerful object, you need to think about balancing and what it means for the rest of the world and what it means for your story, because it becomes almost like the Superman dilemma, where the writer has how do we make him vulnerable? It's like, oh, we come up with an excuse for he took his helmet off, or oh, he was using a hot spring and just happened to set all of his armor off to the side and somebody came by and grabbed it, or I don't know, you have to make up some bullshit scenario as to why he's not wearing his impenetrable fucking armor.
Did you just reference Samurai Jack without even knowing it?
Probably, but it's literally a trope in a bunch of different shows and movies and animes and things, so I get it. But it's just like, but yeah, they have to come up with some reason for him to get out of the armor so that they can actually have real stakes and put him in danger. And that's what they do, you know, and it's like, I get it, but you shouldn't have to do that, and you don't have anyone to blame but yourself. You know, you're the one that made this happen. You're the one that wrote this into existence, so I'm not going to feel sorry for you. It's like, well, all of our tension's gone. It's like, yeah, you did that.
Yeah, you're the ones that put him in the end. Because remember, Mando in the first like couple episodes, he just had like the Durasteel armor, and that got fucked up when he fought the Mudhorn.
Yeah, that was interesting, and that's what I think most people expected Mandalorian armor to be. Like, it's still high quality armor, but it's not fucking impenetrable. You know what I mean? And now it's like, now he gets this upgraded shit. And at first, when they kind of introduced it in that one episode, I was like, oh, he's gonna get like a piece here and a piece there. Maybe over the course of a couple seasons, he'll start to get a full. And then it was like the very next episode, it's like, oh, he's wearing it from like head to... I'm like, what?
Yeah, episode 3, it was he just has covered head to toe in Beskar. And it's just like, oh, so stakes are just done.
Yeah, we're just not doing that.
Not only that, he not only got all the Beskar, he got the whistling birds, which was just the
which then has also been fucking retconned, because the blacksmithing lady or whatever her name is was basically like, Beskar should be made for armor, not for weapons. And it's
just like, what about the whistling birds?
Yeah, you're literally the one who gave him the whistle, crazy bitch.
I love
the enemy Delito button.
Yeah, well, whistling birds, very rare. Mando every episode. And yet he's
literally whistling birds like a dozen guys.
Yeah, and then he just still has enough.
Yeah. He just keeps replenishing them somehow, even though she's like, super rare, save this for the boss fight. Cough, cough.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no, he just fucking uses that shit on every random goon he passes. Like, okay, gotcha. And that's the thing is, like, they missed the opportunity to show Mando being very smart and resourceful as a bounty hunter because, like, managing your inventory would be something that a space bounty hunter would really have to do, especially going from planet to planet where it's like not every planet is going to be able to just refill this very rare, very specific type of ammo or gadget that he has. It's like he would have to be smart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to show that. We're just going to skip over all of that shit. And, it's, I don't know, it's frustrating.
Yeah, and I think it was Shad who was talking about this during the Mandalorian season 1 breakdown, is like the difference between all the shots hitting Mando versus like in the OT when the stormtroopers would just miss. I think I'd just prefer if the stormtroopers just miss by this point, because at least that means our characters have to duck still.
But here's the thing, like, there's a difference between, like, even with bulletproof armor in our world, most bulletproof armor will stop a glancing shot. And it will stop some straight shots depending on the caliber of the bullet used.
Right.
But it's not impervious. So I can understand, like, if a blaster bolt, like, grazed his shoulder or glanced off of his gauntlet or something, fine. But we're talking about he's getting shot in the goddamn chest plate multiple fucking times and literally running down the hallway into just absolute barrage of blaster fire. And he's not hesitating. And here's the thing. I would be fine if, like, after the scene there was some sort of repercussion, there was some sort of consequence to this risky, dangerous action that he took. But he basically just stands back up and dusts himself off and carries on like nothing fucking happened.
Yeah, and then Bo-Katan calls him brave, and it's just like, is it?
It's
brave
not.
if
Yeah, if you're impervious, if somebody tells you have 100% immunity to bullets, and then you go out there and stand in front of like 20 bullets being fired, does that make you brave? I don't think so.
No,
It's
it
like,
doesn't.
not really. You've basically been told that you are impervious to all bullets. They cannot hurt you. I mean, I guess maybe technically you'd be brave for the first shot and to test it out, but then once you realize, oh yeah, I literally cannot be defeated by bullets. It's like every bullet after that makes you less and less brave. You're just exuding your power over somebody else. And it's like, okay. So
And when you bring up the body armor thing, keep in mind, people, if you do get hit, depending on the type of body armor, you're still gonna have a fucking bruise. You're down still.
It's stopping the projectile. It's not stopping the kinetic force. You're still taking that damage, which will damage the soft tissue. So that's why you end up with these giant ass bruises and welts and things like that.
Broken ribs.
It's still gonna fucking hurt like a son of a bitch. And you're still probably gonna get knocked the fuck down. Like, you're not just gonna stand there and go, huh, that tickled.
Oh yeah, like we've seen, like in today's age, when you see like soldiers getting hit in the battlefield, like they still fall down.
It's still a lot of energy. That energy has to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's simple physics.
And they're just like, no, we're just gonna, coat our heroes in so much plot armor that they can. And the problem is, plot armor also facilitates a lot of other issues, so it sort of creates this chain reaction. Because if your characters have really thick plot armor, they can afford to be morons and make really stupid decisions over and over again with no recourse whatsoever.
I feel like it's like every time we mention something, we just keep going back to that hallway, because it's exactly just. Oh, you mean like when he just decided he wanted to tank an entire machine gun next?
I don't know why you guys are focusing on the hallway. Book of Boba Fett has probably the most egregious version of this.
Yeah, you're talking about when
The
the
literal
droid.
fucking 10-ton Rancor jumps on his body from atop of a building, so a 2-story drop onto the Mandalorian, and it destroys the roof that he's on.
Well, and
Like,
then there's that scene with the
Blast-
robot where it tries to stab his leg.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about later with the fucking Rancor, because like blaster
Yeah.
bolts I can understand, because like there could be dispersion of energy, there could be some kind of like heat resistance to Beskar, there could be something there, but the full force of a fucking elephant jumping on you,
yeah,
that is insane.
That's pretty bad. The reason I probably point out the blaster shots is because ever since Disney took over, it's been a little inconsistent. Because if you remember in the OT when somebody got hit with a blaster, they kind of just fell over because probably because the direction of the scene. Now since Disney took over, blasters suddenly have like a massive amount of kinetic force, almost as if it was just like a bullet. The big example.
Well, sometimes.
The biggest example, like it's kind of cheating, but Chewie's crossbow sends people absolutely flying when it did no such thing in the original trilogy.
Yeah, you could say for EU that did some shit like that, but for the movies themselves, it didn't really do anything that insane.
Yeah, because remember,
in fact, I don't even think you see him shoot the fucking thing anyway.
His crossbow, he shoots a speeder bike in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay.
He shoots it twice, and that sends the guy flying. But if we were going by what The Force Awakens established for that crossbow, I'm sorry, that first shot would have then sent that guy flying then.
Yeah.
And sometimes with Mando, we'll see him get knocked back when he gets hit. Then there's times where, like, in the, I believe it's episode 5 of season 2, where he is just standing there and they're just ricocheting off of him with no effect. The Rancor is pretty bad.
The Rancor is probably like I actually remember screaming, laughing because I saw that. Like that is insane. There's nothing. Like everyone I've talked to about it, it's like because like a lot of normies actually don't know what plot armor is. To be 100% honest. Like,
that's kind of
something
why
that they know what it is. They just don't know what the term is or how egregious it can be in stories, especially because you guys are talking about it in more and more media. Like,
yeah,
I've been talking to Jake in the chat about like MK, the new MK movie.
Where, oh yeah, oh god, where he has the Cole
not even talking about that. I'm talking about when Goro, the strongest being in the universe, grabs him and is shown to be able to rip people in half. Is holding him for a solid 10 seconds and nothing happens to him. And this is pre-plot armor. That is arcane plot armor. Whatever
the literal fucking plot armor.
Yeah, that's
insane.
Thank you.
But that is why I started out this recording by explaining briefly what plot armor is and why and how it can damage a story and how it can damage a character and like I said, it's a tool. Like any other, I mean, a lot of the people in our community of the internet really hate the term subverting expectations, but even that, when done well, can be useful. It's kind of like the internet, it's neither good nor evil. It's just a tool. It depends on what you do with it. So plot armor, a lot of stories wouldn't function like if it had no plot armor whatsoever, but it's how well executed is it.
Yeah, a good example would probably be Die Hard. If John McClane was a normal human being, he would have died in the vents, because the amount of like strength in just the amount, just him plummeting and the amount of durability in just those fingers when he catches himself on the vents, he would have died.
Yeah, a lot of action shit gets away with that, but like he still has more consequences done to him than most other fucking plot armor things.
Oh, he does.
That's what I would say, and that's what I'd say. Is like, is plot armor no consequences or slight consequences?
Well, it's varying degrees. It's the character being able to survive a situation that they otherwise normally wouldn't. Like I would say, like obviously when he gets his feet hurt from stepping on all the broken glass. There's not really plot armor in that particular scene, but like what Wyatt was talking about with the vents, obviously there's plot armor there. So it's at different points in the film. and there's varying degrees. But the idea is, as a writer, when you choose to implement that plot armor, you don't want the audience to notice it. You know, you don't want them to see the writer's hand reaching out and keeping that character alive when everything that they're seeing on the screen is like, that character should be fucking dead.
It's oh fuck. I almost just Max, have you finally seen the Batman?
Not yet. Gonna try to see it this weekend.
Fuck. I almost want to ask if you could deafen for a second because there's a
Oh no. Is the
I haven't seen it yet either. Calm down.
I was gonna say, yeah, chill.
Well, I've already told you about this instance, didn't you?
Isn't it from the trailer?
Well, I showed in the trailer. There's a bit in the movie where he should have definitely twice, where he definitely should have died.
All right, well, I'll check it out when we watch it. I also wanted to see the Uncharted movie, so there's Nathan Drake definitely has plot armor. It's literally called Luck.
Well, yeah, Nathan Drake. Most of the falls he takes when something is happening should like break something at the very least, or even dislocate an arm or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, there are some like action scene things that are kind of like put up, but that would be considered plot armor though. Still, even if it can be conducted in like a fun quote unquote way.
Yeah, and this goes for all sorts of things. Like if say Indiana Jones, if that movie was somewhat realistic, Indy would have had like 17 concussions with the fight against the big bald German at the airplane. Because that guy beat his face in.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Almost every story has plot armor, but the question is, you know, how bad is it? How noticeable is it? Did it knock you out of the film or the story? Did it, you know, break your suspension of disbelief? And in most of the older movies, they were able to kind of get away with it because the plot armor wasn't totally ridiculous. They would still show their characters getting hurt, or there would be some sort of negative consequence. You know, like you said with Die Hard, the glass, you know, and him taking damage throughout the film. Like, he doesn't get out of the film unscathed.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine, you know, if you put like Rey in that same scenario, you know, it's like, fuck, you know, there's no way she could get hurt.
There'd be like there'd be like a massive explosion in her face, and she had like a small cut.
Yeah, and that's where it's just like, you know, no
consequences. See,
yeah, no, consequences. She had a cut.
I was about to ask, is resurrection a type of plot armor? Because Rey literally is brought back from death.
That's an interesting question. I would say no, because you had because you had the consequences of death. So it would have to be something like if there was an episode 10, like if like she had like PTSD from dying, kind of like what happened with Iron Man after Avengers.
Oh yeah, that also works. I was about to say Peter from Far From Home.
No, yeah, that too. But like specifically, like it's actually fucking with her, and it's a part of the story. Like she actually is like fucked up by it. Mm-hmm. Because like, as much as we can hate on Iron Man 3, it did a really good job of like giving consequences to Avengers, because that really fucking disturbed Tony Stark dealing with what he did with.
Yeah, the only problem with Iron Man 3 is I agree with you. It adds consequences to Avengers. It's just unfortunate that they didn't really. It's not that they didn't do anything with it. It's unfortunately solved in a really goofy way, as almost with a joke, when the post-credit scene, and how he's talking to Bruce and he was asleep the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Like I said, the Mortal Kombat thing is pretty fucking terrible. Though a lot of people did kind of spot that, and like I said, the joke was that his Arcana was literally plot armor.
Mm-hmm. Well, we talked a little bit before starting this. We brought up Caitlyn from Arcane and surviving the butterflies explosion.
Yeah, it's pretty egregious.
Explosions in general are something that you have to be careful with, because a very small explosion can absolutely kill people.
Yeah, it was during it was when we were talking to Shady that I specifically was like, it's not just the bang. There's the shrapnel, then there's the pressure wave. Like, it's not just
Well,
it's not
I was
just a
trying
bang
to
and
I
then
was trying,
dead.
was trying to go for some stuff that we haven't actually covered in YARP yet, so we can like give more examples to the general audience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the Mortal Kombat was a good example. We talked a little bit about Black Widow and how
Yeah.
she would have been paced on multiple occasions.
Literally going blocks upside down, scraping on a car. It's like, what the fuck?
Would you say
Yeah.
Neo in the new Matrix movie, does he have plot armor?
And
I don't remember. My brain protected me from that film.
yeah,
You fell
so did
asleep.
your eyes.
Yeah.
No, there's not really much there because he doesn't really get into that many conflicts, and the conflicts he does get into, they kind of fuck him up. Like his fight with not Morpheus, like he actually, his face gets pretty fucking roughed up. Man, fucking Trinity. There's not as bad as
Trinity
that
is-
movie is. There's not that actually much plot armor for that scenario. Like it's a bad movie, but it's a bad example of plot armor.
Hmm. Yeah, I was almost about to say, like, what about the other sequels? And it's like, nah, like,
Nah,
regardless
people
of the
get
stakes,
people get hit,
yeah.
and they usually don't get
Well-
up from it.
Well, I was talking specifically about Neo. It's like, wait, no, there is technically still stakes. Like in the fight with all the Smiths, they could absorb him. That's the ultimate stake of that fight, is they're trying to take him over.
Before you say it, it's not actually stakes. I wasn't thinking that. Yes, you were. Hmm. Oh yeah. Did we talk about the Suicide Squad?
Fucking Harley is absolutely covered head to toe in fucking plot armor.
I still never watched that fucking not solo movie of Harley.
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey. Yeah.
I haven't seen it either. I was just like, I'm not gonna.
You didn't want to see Obi-Wan get beat up by a bunch of girls?
I think I'm good. I think I'd prefer if Obi-Wan not get his ass kicked by a bunch of by a bunch of Hot Topic people.
Can other objects be plot armor?
Example?
So, in a movie we're going to be covering soon is a movie called Django Unchained. There's a moment in a major firefight where we see all of these bullets penetrating wood, yet Django throws a shelf over his fucking back. And there's about fucking 20 guys with rifles downward shooting at him, and none of them penetrate the fucking shelf.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah, that would absolutely be plot armor.
that's plot armor. Not to mention, just everybody. A lot of times in that fight, just a lot of people have really bad aim.
Well, I mean, those guns were shitty, and yeah, the aiming was also kind of a terrible thing too.
right.
But I'm more specifically talking about the times where he should be getting hit. Like I said, I could buy misses, especially in like a very heated environment where like you can hear like when the guy's shooting and he accidentally shoots his buddy, like you could see him like fucking distressed and like freaking out, and you could see him horribly aiming his gun as he's like hitting the reload and shit like that.
Yeah, I think
like he's yelling and he's yelling expletives and racist shit, but like when you see him shoot, he's like hitting the cowboy repeater and like barely looking down the sight as he fires.
Right. I think
that guy's one of my favorite characters too, because he gets shot.
Oh yeah, we get when the shrapnel gets in his eyes. Oh my god.
Well, that's one thing to think about when you're talking about plot armor. The term can be a little bit misleading. It doesn't specifically have to be armor. It's just any sort of event or situation that allows this character to survive when it's like you'd normally be looking at the screen, seeing that and go, bullshit. You know, it's like when they jump over the couch, you know, and it's like suddenly, you know, or behind a thin wooden table and suddenly they're bulletproof. You know what I mean? Like that's plot armor. That's allowing them to survive when they absolutely shouldn't.
Well, I was gonna say, like, does parody count? Because that happens in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. When they had
Parody
Parody
that
Hot
shootout at the
Fuzz.
very end.
you got to be careful with parody and comedy though, because that's at that point they're kind of almost acknowledging the trope.
Yeah, they're kind of taking the piss.
Yeah, so you want to kind of avoid that as your example.
Fair enough on that, because I was about to, if we were going to go with that, I was about to bring up Hot Fuzz when they're in the pub. They're behind a very thin
No, that's
table.
kind of the
Yeah,
joke is that
yeah,
they're doing that.
Yeah, and the joke is also that everybody fucking survives.
Yeah.
Especially the guy who got fucking impaled in his chin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody survives in that movie. It's ridiculous. 10 out of 10. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be with guns or explosives. Situation, knives or swords. I mean, it fucking Star Wars. The knife literally had to be edited out so she could survive.
I was about to say we never brought up the fucking biggest one from you guys are talking about Star Wars.
That's but
actual fucking prop disappearing is pretty fucking big.
I think I figured out the so there's the literal plot armor. I'm gonna call this situational plot armor. The knife is a great example. It literally got deleted from existence.
Yeah.
The writer saw that and then just went.
Well, that's literally plot armor that's breaking.
Yeah.
Like they were like, oh shit, the plot armor that the writer gave her wasn't enough. We have to give her more plot armor on top of that by literally just deleting this weapon from existence.
And to anybody thinking it's like, oh, well, they removed that in the editing. It's like, well, yeah, that's an editing thing, but think about the thought of the movie. Like, Mahler brings up a really good point. It's like, that means she's so powerful she can make weapons disappear. And it's like, you can't argue against what I just said, because that's what fucking happens in the movie.
Yeah, and not only that guy, because they edited it out, but in the scene, he's still kind of holding that, so he doesn't know what to do with his other arm.
Yeah, he's literally holding like an invisible thing. Like and he just looks like an idiot who like drops something and doesn't realize he dropped something.
Yeah, and the only defense you can basically make for that is, well, it was It's like, no, it's not an error because it's the only thing that allowed her to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not an error because like stuff like that can be fixed, like with fixing the choreography. This is what people talk about. People don't realize like takes. Every one of your favorite movie, like every scene that you've ever seen, has probably had 20 different versions of that on a cutting room floor. But like they decided to go with this because it was done in one take, despite it having massive flaws like throughout the whole choreography.
And that raises what I was just thinking. Is your opponent being a complete idiot count as plot armor?
I don't think so.
It can, depending on the circumstance.
Yeah, because you guys weren't looking at the chat. I was talking with Jake in there. That one, the one you mentioned about Grievous not having the fucking army just fire on him, which would be a smart thing to do, and it would end his life. But at that point, Grievous is dealt with in that movie. We've seen Grievous outsmarted twice by this Jedi, and he wanted to kind of redeem himself.
Yeah,
that is a dumb thing of Grievous, but like you can understand why his character would do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flaw, but it's believable. It's not a plot hole.
Yeah.
And then he can't do it later because during the fight is when the clones start attacking.
Right. I was kind of bringing up more as the like we know these characters can't die because they got to be in the next movie, like specifically with Obi-Wan and Anakin and actually the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know and technically Padme can be alive just as long as Luke and Leia are still in her. The second they're out, plug is basically pulled on her.
Yeah, that's a weird thing with like prequels stories and stuff like that with the established characters later. And it's like, well, yeah, they kind of have to survive because we know the rest of the story.
It actually reminded me of like during Bricky's little arcane video, he brings up like, oh, we know none of these characters can die because they're still got to be champions in the game, and that feels like just such flawed logic.
Well, the creators have basically came out and said this is basically a separate thing from the game, so characters can totally die.
Yeah, so that argument is invalid.
Yeah. They haven't done it yet, but it's, up in the air.
Um,
Sitting here trying to
Yeah.
cycle through shit because it's like weird. I could feel like on any other day I could like point out like a billion different versions, but like right now I'm kind of fucking drawing a blank.
Well, that's perfectly fine. This was supposed to be only like a 30-minute chat, and we've
Oh
been
yeah, speaking of
shouting.
which, so yeah, Jake's in the fucking chat. The fucking Godzilla, the second one where he
Uh,
fights King Ghidorah.
oh my, King of the Monsters.
The guy who gets fucking hit by a goddamn Sidewinder and smashes a fucking steel uh crate with his back and he's fine. It's like, it's like, hold up. Those things are really fucking durable. So the fact that you bent that thing with your body, dog.
Well, I mean,
And I guess his life is important because like he's like the main human, so he tells everybody what to do.
well, that's was that main good guy, or was that Charles Dance?
No, that was main good guy. That was Wolfman.
Oh my God, you're right. It's been so long since I've seen King of the Monsters.
That one, like, I remember laughing so hard in the theater because that was the stupidest shit I've ever seen.
And that's typically how you know you're dealing with a bad example of plot armor is when you just get so taken out of the immersion that you had in the story that you're like laughing when like you shouldn't be laughing. It's supposed to be a serious actiony moment or tense, and it's like, oh my god, that's fucking ridiculous.
How did you survive that?
It's like it's when you brought up Black Widow, and when they fall off the pipe, and Natasha's just ping, ping,
Dunk, dunk,
ping,
dunk,
and it's
and
just
I'm
like
blind.
how she just lands, and it's just like, all right, I'm good to go. I'm good to continue the movie. And it's like, how are all of your bones not just
Well, and that's
pulverized?
the whole thing about her character. Like when you compare her to the other Avengers, her and Clint were the only two people on the team that didn't have superpowers. They're just normal people.
And it's really strange because, like, in the comics, like, there's like a fucking throwaway line. It's like, oh, by the way, she has like half of Captain America syndrome, so that, or whatever the fuck. So that's why she can kind of take some hits. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So like, it kind of explains where she's not 100% human. So you know what I mean? It can kind of do some stuff, but they never established that in the movie. So when she's
Yeah.
doing all that insane shit, it's like,
It makes you. It's like no wonder she tried to kill herself in Endgame. She thought she was gonna live. It's like, I've done this before.
I'm fine. I got this. And she's falling. He's like, wait a
Well, actually, that actually, when I thought about the resurrection thing, the Dragon Balls kind of come to mind. Like, yeah, they still die.
Resurrection isn't a specific example of plot armor. It's more of a plot device, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, the Dragon Balls are a very bad example because the Dragon Balls can only be used once to revive one person. That was the main. Besides Kami being dead, that's what destroyed the Dragon Balls during Saiyan Saga.
Right.
Even if they had the Dragon Balls, they couldn't bring back Chaozu, Krillin, and all them because they've already died.
But I thought
they needed a second set of balls, which is what the Namekian balls were.
Right, but I thought the rules were then changed when Dende became the.
No, that's why they couldn't bring. That's why they couldn't bring back Goku. And Goku basically said, "It's fine, don't worry about it. I kind of feel like I should remain dead because of all the shit that's been going on."
Yeah, you gotta watch the anime and learn these things.
You gotta learn, dude.
It's been well. Hold on, yeah. I was going to say with the original Dragon Ball, yeah, it's been
years. I'll give you that, and like I probably have like an autistic amount of knowledge for fucking Dragon Ball, so it's kind of like the wrong guy to go against. But yeah, no, the Dragon Balls are kind of a bad example, and plus, of course, that doesn't really stop most villains. Like people have died multiple times in arcs because it's like, oh fuck.
Right.
Well, like I said, revival in general, kind of, you can't really consider it plot armor because if the character had plot armor they wouldn't have died in the first place, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, that's the big distinction here. It's like they technically did die.
Yeah, they did die, but then resurrection, much like time travel or like multiple dimension stuff, is usually a writing tool or writing device that you want to stay away from, especially as a new writer, because it gets really fucking complicated and it can drastically fuck with the stakes of your universe.
But the thing is, if you do it right, which was Dragon Ball did for the things, it's not like
Well,
100%.
exactly.
It's not a
Dragon
100% thing.
Ball,
It's like, oh,
Dragon Ball
Krillin.
set the standard, and it really defined what could and could not be done, and it stuck to it.
Yeah,
That's true.
and it's like Krillin, you die one more time, you're fucked. And then there's the whole fight where Kid Buu goes to heaven and he starts fighting dead people, and it's like, oh shit, if he kills anybody here, there's nothing we can do. They will be erased from fucking existence. Like there was a whole, I don't know if you
forgot
remember
could
that, but
die
Kid
in
Buu,
heaven.
yeah, Kid Buu goes to heaven and he starts fucking everything up. And like I said, there was a real like scare that they were going to lose Yamcha and Krillin because they can't fight Kid Buu.
Fucking weebs.
Well, dude, I love Dragon Ball. It's
I know
so
Dragon Ball
stupid.
is the shit.
It's
Yeah.
so stupid, but I fucking
Uh,
love it. It's
In
it's
terms
dumbest.
of assigning an item, the pod that kind of allows Vegeta to just be in space without any sort of breathing equipment to blow up a planet.
What do you mean?
Like, is the ship feeding him oxygen, or like?
Are you
it's
talking
not-
about when he steps outside? Saiyans can survive for a suspended amount of times. They just can't breathe.
Okay.
Yeah, they're fucking aliens, dude.
I was
Yeah,
going to
they're-
say it's that. It's
yeah, you
that
got to
weird-
remember that like Saiyans aren't like humans. They can kind of have different
right.
things, but they do establish that Goku and all of them need to breathe, but they can fight in low atmosphere. It's kind of like Invincible. Like Invincible can't breathe, but he can still fight.
Right. I think it's. I don't remember if they outright said if Vegeta was breathing when he was blowing up that planet. I'm talking about that filler episode when they were on their way.
Well, filler's also non-canon, so
So when was that established? Because
since always, basically anything that's not in the manga that's not directly from Akira Toriyama's mouth is not canon, and that goes for pretty much everything.
Okay, so this
It's like-
specifically is for Dragon Ball, not.
No, it's for pretty much everything. Like everybody admits, like Naruto and One Piece have shitloads of filler, and it's like, yeah, they're basically non-canon. Because fucking, correct me if I'm wrong, Ninja, but there's a moment where Naruto's clones, which are supposed to be perfect copies of himself, decide to have a rebellion or whatever.
What?
Yes.
But it's filler, so it doesn't count. It's just a stupid,
Yeah.
a stupid fun
So
story.
basically, they get mad because he always gives them like the shit jobs to do, and they're like, "I want to take turns being like the main one, essentially."
You can't though.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
That's-
But yeah,
What?
that's basically the,
Which is kind of funny because that actually served. That's weird how that filler did, but that served as the inspiration for fucking Twice from My
Well,
Hero Academia.
and it also it even though it is kind of a filler episode, it does actually serve a purpose because up until that point, his clones had been kind of moderately effective at best.
Mhm.
But going forward, once he sort of sits down and hashes the shit out with all of them, his clones actually start taking shit seriously and become a lot more powerful. So it does serve a purpose, like to the greater story as a whole.
Mhm.
But yeah, it especially feels like it comes out of fucking nowhere. It's like, what?
I just like I said, I don't watch Naruto. I just know a lot about it from friends and shit. And it's like I'm just thinking about that shit. It's like, how the fuck did that happen?
So that's kind of how it's been for me a little bit for Naruto. Like, just being friends with Eli for so long, it's like, oh yeah, I know some things.
But like I said, even in One Piece, people will straight up tell you to skip like 100 episodes because it's like, yeah, like
Jesus.
this does literally nothing for any of the characters. You can watch them, and it's like a fun adventure. It's like a little thing. Like all of the movies for Dragon Ball Z were non-canon, but they still served purpose for like playing with characters.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to like enjoy like what I dub superhero Goku, like in all of the movies, Goku's basically a superhero. He's not that much of a fucking moron as he is in the actual series.
Right. A good example of like characters that don't really have that much plot armor, I was gonna say bring up Guts from Berserk, because there's a key moment where he kind of suffers two. I was about to talk. I was talking about the key.
Careful.
I know. You would let me finish. I was mainly talking about the Eclipse, where he suffers two very vital injuries, losing his arm and his eye.
Well, yes and no, though, because technically you could make an argument that he has a shitload of plot armor in that scene. He's the only one to survive that scene for a fucking reason, and it's because Griffin lets him live intentionally.
Yeah, and once again, that's not plot armor, that's a character decision.
It is, but you could argue that like he could have gotten a lot more fucked up in that scene than he did. Like you could see that the writer wanted him to survive. That's what I'm saying. It's not exactly a great example to point to of being like, oh, it's like he got hurt, so it's like that makes everything okay.
Right. I guess it's an example of like lessened. Like, yeah, he's not as fucked up, and he does sustain injury, but you are correct, he does survive.
Would reverse plot, since we're in anime, would reverse plot armor be Cowboy Bebop?
Oh, and how Spike gets fucked up and
constantly fucking gets ruined and shit like that, and like it's always like lasting because like even in like extra episodes you see him still patched up and shit like that, and he always does it to the detriment of like his own goodwill and shit like that. Like he'll pass up on bounties and shit like that because he feels bad for the person.
His fight with
they're
Vicious,
fucking broke.
His fight with Vicious in the church almost killed him.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like other shit, like where he's passing up on bounties and shit like that,
right,
because he feels bad for people.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. It makes him a lot more grounded. It makes him a lot more believable, and you also empathize with him a lot more. Plot armor is one of those writing tools that is best used in very small doses. And like I said, you're trying to sneak it past the audience. If you've done it successfully, they won't even realize it's there. It is not something that should be blatant and obvious. If it is, you fucked up.
Yeah, you shoot me in the face and I just get up and I'm not wearing any armor. It's like, all right, hold on.
And I guess it's something we already talked about, but yeah, Invincible. It's also reverse plot armor because goddamn it. There's 10 fights in the whole series, and he doesn't walk away from 8 of them. You know what I mean?
Invincible loses a lot of his fights.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
No, it's important to understand for anybody who really enjoys movies, TV shows, reading books even. I mean, even books have the same issue, and especially anybody out there who wants to be a writer, who wants to get into this kind of stuff. It's something that you have to be aware of, or else you wind up in this same sort of situation where these writers are so proud of their work that they're putting out, and it's like, man, I wouldn't want my name attached to any of this shit. I wouldn't want my name to appear on The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett. Like, fuck, no.
I like how you sent me, like, I was just talking about, like, everyone in Book of Boba Fett should be ashamed. I was like, what about the caterer who's just doing his job? I was like, he took the money.
He did. He took the money. I wouldn't want my caterer. I'd contact them. Can you maybe not put us in the credits? Like, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the food. That's great. We still cash the check. That's fine. But you can just leave us off. Like, it's fine.
Disney just goes, you weren't even in the credits in the first place. Oh, good.
No, they usually are. If you actually look at the credits, they will absolutely have the catering company in the credits.
I thought that's only for movies. I thought.
Nope. It's part like there are rules behind credits, like who you have to include.
That's true, but yeah, because it's unions and all that stuff.
Yep. That's why credits have gotten like ridiculously long over the years, because they have to include everyone who's involved in the production in any way.
Yeah, and we can't just Mr. Frog that shit where it just goes by doodly doodly doot doot as the credits go at like 45 times speed.
They'll still do that, like when they play the movie on TV.
Yeah, they will. Well, with TV, they'll just straight up show the next thing, depending on the network. Like,
Well, there was a point in time where it would do this thing where like the frame would split and you'd have like the credits for the movie going by really fast on one side, and then like coming up next we've got this movie over here. Keep watching. We're not going anywhere, you know. And then it would do like an ad break or something, but.
Yeah, Men in Black would be finishing, and TBS would be like, all right, so here's some Family Guy. It sees that as you just see the credits of Men in Black in this tiny little square. It's like,
they're just tiny going by. It's like, oh, okay.
There are effective uses of those, though. Like, JoJo, every, like, final episode of JoJo has something like that. Where the credits are playing during the actual fucking scene.
Yeah, a lot of shows have like the after credits or mid credits stuff now too, so they can't quite do that as much as they used to.
Would also plot armor doesn't also just sit to protagonists; it can also fit for antagonists as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you mean Kylo Ren getting stabbed in the fucking gut?
Well, I was thinking about Springtrap being established that he can only die by fire and surviving 3 fires, and it's like,
See, whenever you talked about Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, I'm like, I stopped it too.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's a whole story about why Security Breach was bad, but it has a very Palpatine somehow survived, and it's like,
right. I like how I brought up that time Jim Sterling was like, oh yeah, I basically made Scott's career, and you just went, fucking what?
Yeah, that's like, first of all, no.
Yeah, as odd as it is, plot armor can apply to any character in the story. Like, it doesn't have to be the protagonist or the antagonist. It could literally be a side character. Like, I mean, you're watching this movie, everything's normal, and then suddenly, like, Joe Bob gets hit with a fucking missile right in the face, and then he just gets up and dusts himself off. I mean, that's still plot armor.
Oh yeah,
it's more egregious the more main of the character, because
it is, yeah, especially because they're more plot. But there are definitely cases where side characters should have been killed, but because the writer wanted to keep them around or whatever, they survived anyway when they shouldn't have.
Hell, this could even apply to nameless nobodies. Remember, Zack Snyder said only like 3,000 people died during the Man of Steel stuff, when like an actual university went over all the damage and loss of life, and it'd be like more than it'd be like around 12,000 would be just dead or missing.
Yeah, all the Zack Snyder stuff lately is definitely guilty of it. It's not particularly great.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not much to say there. It's kind of all sloppy.
Well, he used to be really good. Like, I liked Watchmen, and Ninja Says 300 is pretty good.
The first one was. The second one, not so much.
Was it still him?
I think he was involved. I don't think he was like the main director or whatever. So, no, technically it wasn't.
Yeah, like I said, if
in 300.
No, 300 actually suffers from the lack of plot armor.
Mm-hmm.
Literally everyone dies.
Yeah, like fucking goddamn Rhino Man with axe comes out of mist to cut off the fucking dude's fucking son's head. It's like, oh, where the fuck did you come from? like what the fuck? Why? No. Okay. And it's like, yeah, so there goes that guy's kid. It's like, oh fuck. Oh, all right. Well, shit.
Yeah, if anything, it's kind of an interesting example because the most plot armor in the entire movie could probably be put on the bad guy, actually. Because like at the very end, like Leonidas throws the spear and he grazes him, but he doesn't kill him.
Because he just wanted to prove that gods can bleed or whatever.
And he did, but that's what I'm saying. Like he, after everything we've seen in the movie, that should have gone like right through his fucking face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, but it's still, hits the point and it gets the theme, and that's great. But it's just like, god damn it. And then they had him in the sequel for no other reason than to insult Leonidas's corpse multiple times. It's a really bad movie, everyone. Don't go watch it. It's horrible. It's like Pacific Rim 2. Just pretend it doesn't exist.
Or the anime. Also pretend that doesn't exist.
I like Pacific Rim 2.
No,
Pacific
Rim 2 is wrong.
It was stupid, but I like
it. It was so bad.
It's so stupid. We'll talk about my toppings. You know how I feel about my toppings.
Oh god.
You know that shit made you smile how fucking dumb it was.
No.
Yes, it did.
I was expecting more of the first one, and I kept being like, what the fuck am I watching? What is happening?
That's kind of how I was watching 2 as well. I was like, oh, and then they just killed Mako. It's like, oh, alright.
I kept waiting for it to get good, like the first one did. I was like, maybe they're just off to a bad start. Maybe they'll, find their footing, and no. It's never.
The choreography was okay, but because of fucking modern holiday fucking giant kaiju movies that literally is about the thing, it only accounts for 10% of the fucking movie.
Yeah,
and it's like, I really, that's probably like one of my least favorite tropes of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
What specifically was it again?
I would consider it false advertising.
The whole we're gonna do a giant monster movie, but movies aren't fucking in it.
This is Transformers. Now follow Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, okay, yeah. If we could put in
Transformers.
If we could put in the stone tablets of storytelling. No, we stick with the monsters. Fuck these people.
Well, you can have the people, but the thing is, why people are here. So fucking give it to them. And ironically, as shitty as fucking Kong vs. Zilla was, of all of its fucking dumb stuff, it still had a lot of kaiju fighting.
It did.
Yeah,
big amount.
Well, you do raise a good point. Because, Kong vs. Zilla does have a decent amount of fights. Unlike King of the Monsters only had, the 2, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, but that's the main complaint that a lot of people have about those kind of movies, is that there's not a lot of big monster fighting, even though that's kind of the main selling point.
To a lot of people, to even the point where it's over-exaggerated with wanting to remove the people, which I understand they're very necessary for the story, for the very least our perspective.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of fans would prefer, or at the very least the fans I've talked to, is like, no, just get rid of the people. I just want to watch a full 2 hours of these monsters fighting. Fuck the people.
Well, especially with something like Transformers, it's really egregious because we don't need the people. Like the Transformers speak English.
I don't.
Yeah,
the
Transformers
Shia LaBeouf or Mark Wahlberg. Fuck it.
That's as much as I love that Bumblebee movie, it has the greatest sin of showing us what could have been by having about 2 minutes of fucking Optimus Prime on Cybertron, and it's like, man, that's the best part of this whole fucking movie.
I think it was, what was the first one with Mark Wahlberg? I think it was by that one. I finally just said, I'm done with these fucking movies.
4, I think.
Yeah, I was off the ship by then.
Yeah, dude, I was like an abused housewife. I was just like, we're gonna get Cybertron in the next movie. Don't worry.
Didn't they? No, right? With the third one, didn't they say Cybertron was permanently destroyed because Leonard Nimoy?
No, you could easily do a prequel, and that's it. Just have a fucking prequel. Just have the goddamn war. Have the thing that everybody fell in love with Transformers, where it's the fucking war, and it's like, okay,
it's never gonna happen. Makes me sad, but it's never gonna happen.
Never. God, gonna happen. Like I said. I said, the Bumblebee movie literally showed it, and it was sick as fuck because Soundwave was there, and he sounded like Soundwave. It's like, yo, and then it's like, no, Bumblebee, now go to Earth. It's like, no, it's like, God damn it! We're gonna leave Optimus tanking 6 Decepticons, even though you know that's what you want to see.
Okay, no, if they seriously... Did they really do that?
Yeah, they really did that.
Really did
Why?
That.
I'm not even that
Soundwave drops down. He's got 4 fucking Decepticons with him. He pops out Laserbeak or some shit. He pops out one of his tapes. And it's like, oh fuck, and then it's like, nah, just kidding. Go to the fucking movie.
Why?
To be fair, even with that egregious sin, that movie is one of the better Transformer
It's
films.
actually, it's because it's just the Iron
Well,
Giant.
Well, I was about
Basically,
to.
yeah.
I was about
It's
to make
just the
it.
Iron Giant, and like I said,
but with
it's-
John
it's
Cena,
with John Cena, and he's I don't know. I didn't see him in the movie.
he's good.
Uh,
Well, there's that.
like it's literally Iron Giant with 2 other Iron Giants that are evil, and it's like, yeah, that's basically the whole premise. It's literally a young kid falling in love with a giant robot who's actually a super badass fucking monster fighting force, but falls in love with a human, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
It's sweet. It's well done compared to
really
the
well
others.
done.
It's not total trash, you know.
I was
like
about
the-
to.
It's
like,
not.
look-
I'm underneath the giant testicles.
I am
Oh my
underneath
God.
the enemy scrotum.
Oh my god.
I can't. I was about to
And
make
the
a joke
two
about
black
how.
cars that were very black.
Oh Jesus! Were there?
Remember the
No,
fucking?
we don't.
Blat- blat- blat these
We
guys.
don't do much of reading.
Ugh.
I was about to. I was about to make a
I
joke about
forgot
how.
about that.
I was about to make a joke of like how I was staring at my hands. It's just like I've seen 3 of those films. Ike's for some
It's
reason
so
thought it
bad.
would be okay to watch
Dude,
3 of them.
No, two. It was off the fucking chain, dude. I knew it was all downhill there.
2 was so fucking bad.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can't watch 2 and then go, yeah, no, this is a series I'm on board for. It's like, ugh, no, out.
Then the 3rd one, we didn't even have Megan Fox come back. It was just this random,
just random chick, and it's like, why? It's like, oh, because the director tried to fuck Megan Fox, it didn't work out, so she's gone now. It's like, oh, all right, well, fuck. He's just with this fucking amazing supermodel who like loves him completely for some reason.
How
It's
how
like,
does
all right,
how does Sam Witwicky keep getting
can
like
we
the hottest
just like
girls?
can we just like kick them both out of the movie and just have the Transformer? No, okay.
No, don't you understand? We can never just have the Transformers. You know who didn't have plot armor? Optimus Prime in the first animated movie.
And you mean like in everything? He dies like 16 times, dude.
Yeah,
I
dude,
keep
it's
forgetting
insane.
him dying actually
Like
isn't
Death
something new.
Battle actually tallied it up for his fucking fight against the Gundam. It's like, yeah, he kind of like he even kills himself one time because he cheated in a video game, and he
Well, that's
didn't
the
want to
thing.
he didn't want to live with the dishonor of cheating in a video game, despite like trying to beat Megatron. It's like, oh, I've done it, and then just explodes, and just it's like, wow, dude, holy
Optimus
shit.
Prime is such a savior trope that they had to kill him 16 fucking times just to keep bringing him back. Jesus ain't got nothing on Optimus Prime.
I was gonna say he came back 16
Optimus
times.
came back.
Somehow Optimus returned.
Oh, remember they had in Transformers
Fortnite.
2 to bring back Optimus, they had to have that magical key, and when Shia goes to Prime Heaven, they're like, "Oh yeah, you'll be welcome."
Oh yeah,
here." They
you're
send him
good.
back,
You're cool, dude. We like you. And it's like, what?
and then they
What?
reformed the key in his hand.
What?
Despite
Yeah.
despite that, like,
It was
the
dust.
super, like, based fucking Decepticon just going, nah, fuck that, gimme that. And, like, just. Like, I only remember laughing in the theater when that shit happened, because I was like, oh, fuck! 'Cause it's like, yeah, we're gonna save Optimus Prime, and the fucking bad guy just says, nah, son. And just fucking says, fuck you. But it's like the power of friendship with Jetfire, and that's how he came back to life.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that Optimus Prime had died so many times. I thought
Yeah,
he was
it's
just twice.
pretty hilarious. It's like I said, it's pretty hilarious.
He's died more than Goku. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. And without the Dragon Balls to bring him back, he just keeps coming back anyway.
Mhm.
It's like, fuck off, dude.
I only knew like the animated movie where Megatron
No.
turned into a gun and then Starscream just shot everybody.
Well, yeah, but that's when he dies when he's fucking what? I don't even remember what his name was. Like he had a name before he was Optimus Prime. He gets shot up, and they're like, "Nah, this guy's kind of cool, so let's bring him back."
And then he became Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
No, it would be nice. I'm not saying it would fix all of the issues with modern movies, but if we could get rid of the plot armor, it would certainly be a step in the right direction, or at least severely diminish it.
I was about to say, like, don't even have to get rid of it because that would basically be impossible. But like, just mitigate it a little bit.
Yeah, let's ease the dial back on we're allowed to push through, because like I said towards the beginning, it's kind of a two-part problem. Like, the writers are using it a lot more, but also the audiences seem to be ignoring it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So audiences, you got to do your job. Like, when this shit comes out, laugh in the fucking theater. Don't let this shit go. It's dumb. Acknowledge that it's dumb. Make memes of it.
I think
Tell the world how stupid it is, because it is retarded.
I think that might be contributing to the, like, oh, if you hate it, why do you keep watching after all this time? And
You kind of got to stop.
I feel like, for at least me, it's that whole, if we stop, then no one else is going to point this out, and it's just not going to get better.
That's the unfortunate thing about it.
Yeah, it's like, if we stopped doing, like, if EFAP stopped doing what they were doing, like, tomorrow, like, that would basically, it doesn't just mean, like, oh, they've won, but it's like, one of the actually only people that actually, would talk bad shit on very bad movies, like, they're gone, essentially.
Well, somehow or another, the whatever you want to call it, the powers that be or creative types or whatever, have managed to convince fans that people who bitch about these kind of things on the internet are just toxic fans. They're, we're all the bad things that, because you can see it. Like, I was actually scrolling past this thing on Facebook, and it was a Star Wars like fan page that made a post about Mahler's TFA Part 4 video.
Oh god.
And I made the horrendous mistake of clicking on the comments button.
Don't do that.
Yep, I should have known better. Like, I knew it was going to be bad.
I was going to say, Ninja, I'd expect more from you, because you're not like me, where you get easily baited.
Well, hang on. Ninja's not immune to it, unfortunately.
No, nobody's immune to it. And it's not like the difference is I don't interact with these chuckle fucks. Like, you would fucking see some kind of comment on there, and you'd go to war with them on Twitter. And it's I don't do that.
Yeah, I see somebody basically saying, like, "Oh, this is good." I start squaring up. I'm like,
yeah, it's like, no. I'm just scrolling.
Cracks fingers, cracks neck, squats.
Yeah, no, I am. I just look at them. I kind of scroll through them, and I go, "Wow, these are some very vapid arguments." And it's frustrating to see that there are people out there who basically either don't care or are willing to defend these movies so much that they're like, and it's usually the same arguments over and over, which is how you can tell it's not actually their argument. It's just some opinion that they heard and they're just parroting it. But it's always like, oh, well, he made a video that than the actual movie. Why would I care? Or, oh, he just yammers on. It's like, he really doesn't, though. Like, if you've ever listened, there was even a comment where they tried to say verbatim that he doesn't make good arguments, or he doesn't, like, he's not eloquent, basically. Like, his arguments aren't well constructed or well spoken. And I'm like, out of all the complaints you could lodge against Mahler, that ain't fucking one of them.
I mean, that's a bold-faced fucking lie. The Show on Head Hell's World video. I mean, come on.
I know he's a horrible.
He's a misogynistic, terrible person.
He hates women. Confirmed.
I was going to say, I think all of us, the objective criticism crowd, I think we all just hate women.
Oh, there were plenty of people that are basically like objectivity. Art isn't objective. You can't grade it objectively, and I'm kind of like, okay, so did none of you take an art class or even like an English class? Because I had to write stories in my English class, short stories. And guess what? When I turned those stories in, they were graded.
Yeah, it's it makes me
your
question,
argument is destroyed. Like, you're done at that point. It's like, if my story that I wrote can be graded objectively, then your argument falls apart.
I've had
Now,
people that went to school with me say that, and it's like, we went to a class together, right?
Yeah, but you got to remember the teacher is just basically patting him on the head, and it's like, "Oh, you poor little fuck. I feel so bad for you because you wrote basically garbage. Maybe you'll work for Disney one day."
That, duh, that shouldn't be rewarded.
I know, but unfortunately it is.
But hey,
it's the way
no
it
child
is.
left behind.
That's
You're my little superstar.
How does every nerve in your body not just scream like, this is not how the world should be?
Oh, it did. Like, I don't know if you pay attention to all my posts on Facebook, but trust me, I fucking hate every bit of it. Because I talked to my boss about it because he liked Book of Boba Fett, but it's like, and we were talking about it, it's like, I love Boba Fett. I think he's a great character. I really wanted that show to be great. And I'm not exactly a super awesome, great fucking writer, but I write, here and there and stuff like that, and I kind of get the basics of it. And I explained it to him. It's like, imagine you're an artist. You take so much time and effort and put into a painting, and then somebody just walks up with a Jackson Pollock painting, and you're just like, what the fuck? And he's like, that kind of makes sense. It's like you put effort and shit, but somebody just literally sprays all over a goddamn canvas, and it's like, that's art.
Cough, Hunter Biden.
No.
Yeah, all of his art is literally just like him blowing paint through a straw.
Is it? Hold on.
I swear to God, it's very abstract, and they basically use it as a way for him to launder money.
Fucking modern day art is just garbage. Like, you ever fucking read about the thing about the guy who literally walked into an art gallery, put a fucking pair of glasses on a goddamn table, and then stood back and looked at it very fucking like a cue, and people just started fucking walking up and going, "Oh, this."
I always point to the one where they duct taped the banana to the.
That one's
like
good
that.
Too.
That was like, that's my go-to example for like, art is fucking stupid.
I'm just dumb.
Oh my God! I found a picture. Copy, paste. He's literally here's him literally doing it.
Yeah, it's not good, and it's like. And it's like, look, I get it. It's
he's doing his best. Come on.
It's like it's creative, but it's like, how does what he's doing justify selling something for like $5 million? It's like, fuck off. You know what I mean?
Okay, hold on. I almost just screamed "what" as loud as I could. I was that blown.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what they do. Is he makes this shitty fucking art, and then he sells it to justify his, like, oh, that's why he has so much money. And it's like, no, never mind that he was getting all this money from Ukraine and Russia and China. It's like, fuck off. But neither here nor there. It's just it's disappointing. Kind of diving too much on a tangent.
I was about to say, Susan just kicks down all of our doors. You got political for like 2 minutes. You're going to jail.
No. Politicisms are bad. I get it.
Even Susan is like,
No, specifically because we're not on the same side as Susan.
But here's the important thing to remember. Good writing is hard. I cannot tell you how many times I have sat down and cranked out 10, 20, 30 pages of content and then stared at it for what felt like an hour and hit delete because it just wasn't up to my standards. I didn't think it was good enough. And I know you're not supposed to do that. But good writing shouldn't be easy. Most things worthwhile aren't easy. But it is worth it. There is a reason. I hate to go back to Star Wars again, but it kind of it matches the time gaps. There's a reason that the OT is remembered the most fondly. There's a reason that the prequels is kind of a mixed bag, and there's a reason that the sequels will be forgotten. I mean, for the most point, they already are.
I was going to say, people forget I was looking at stuff with the Galactic Star Cruiser, and I saw Rey and Kylo. I was like, right, you guys still exist as characters.
They were hardly even able to qualify as characters. I've seen people online try to defend like how good of characters they were, and it's like they don't even really fucking qualify.
Yeah, a lot of the times when people point it out, it's like, oh, but Kylo Ren's outfit looks cool, or Rey's a beautiful female character. It's like, yeah, but you're not talking about the character themselves. You're literally just talking about what they look like. You're not actually giving me anything from what the character's done.
Yeah, you can't tell me. It's like Rey wants her parents. Does she? Does she really, though? Because we never really addressed that.
I had a serious conversation with somebody on why they thought Kylo Ren was so fucking cool, and they kept bringing up third-party material, like his specifically the Kylo Ren comic, on how he doesn't feel like he belongs to any family, and how his dad's last name is made up.
So hold on. You can say, like, he can say that he likes the Kylo Ren character from that comic book or whatever. Sure.
Yeah, fair enough on that.
But specifically, if we're saying, okay, movie only, what makes Kylo Ren a good character? You can't fucking tell me because you don't fucking know.
If anything, he's a man-child that won't actually decide what side he's on. Is he possibly redeemable? Well, he killed Snoke, but then 20 seconds later, he is now the supreme leader of the First Order. Then he sees a memory, not a Force ghost, a memory of his father, and is suddenly good again.
Well, yeah, because Kylo forgave Kylo.
Thanks.
I mean, that's literally what happened.
Yeah, that is what happened. It's like it's just as bad as the fact that Kylo's last words were "ow."
Yeah. New Star Wars is very depressing.
Yeah, it's like about character getting cocked. It's like, man, did you even give a shit about what you created?
There wasn't like a single character in that sequel trilogy that didn't get fucked over. I mean, Finn got fucked over. Even Rose, to an extent, got fucked over when she got super minimalized in TROS. It's like,
yeah,
all the characters suck.
We all laugh at, like, it was like, yeah, Shrek she's got less of a part now, when it's just like, that was a character. We could have done something with that. Instead, we just decided to shit over it, and then that was the end of it.
Dude, honestly, that's a joke I never really understood. Like, she's not an ugly woman.
Yeah,
she's definitely fucking not.
Yeah, I was just going with the joke. Kelly Marie Tran, she's fine.
She's fine as fuck, and that's unfortunate because her character is garbage.
I think it took a while to realize that because only in Rise of Skywalker was she wearing like normal person clothes.
I think it was
Last
the
Jedi.
outfit.
She looked shit. Yeah,
I think it was the outfit that they had her in was unappealing. Like, it wasn't very flattering, I guess would be the term.
There's also the attitude of her character. Like, she was a very snooty bitch in like every fucking scene she was in.
This is true.
Causes a lot of monetary and possible just harm to people. Freeze animal.
This is what was worth it.
Yeah, freeze single animal that will more than likely be captured after like an hour. Now it's worth it. And then let's not forget, it's not about killing those we hate, but saving the ones we love.
Well, like, even in the fucking starship, she's like, "Oh, I know where the escape pods are," and she goes, "Of course you do."
Of course you do.
Why'd you have to say it like that?
No, she's just a cunt.
She's just a shitty person. Who would have fucking thought?
No, I get that. Yeah, her character is definitely unappealing in multiple ways, but I'm just saying, like, I never got the whole, like, all the hate train where they were, like, just jumping on her appearance and stuff. It's like, oh, no. You still bang her like a Salvation Army drum.
Oh, dude, you ever seen her in the fucking dress of the fucking premiere?
Oh, yeah.
She looks fine as hell, yeah.
So... No, just her outfit in Rise of Skywalker, just that rolled up sleeves and the shirt.
No, I'm talking about like the day the first movie came out. It's like, oh damn, she's fine as fuck. Let's see what she looks like in the movie. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh no. What did they do? Oh no, she's terrible. Why? If only we could snap her back into reality. Oh, there
Look
goes
how they
Ben,
massacred my waifu.
basically. I wouldn't mind, yeah. She'll run me over and then give me a smooch.
As the laser destroys the fortress.
I was going to say, like a lot of people say, like, oh, Jar Jar is worse than Rose. I'm sorry, Jar Jar didn't pull the. It's.
Oh, hang on. You
Y'all-
want to be objective about it. Jar Jar did fuck up.
No, he did fuck up.
He fucked up quite a bit, but I feel like that was still like I feel like episode 1 and episode 2 we were still holding on to Darth Jar Jar. Like I will take that conspiracy theory to the death that the Darth Jar Jar was always going to be the key to all of this.
The speed at which you sent that, Ninja, it makes me feel like
I
you had
had
that
to.
on standby.
I kind of did. I saw it earlier and I was like,
That's why he brought up Jar. Oh no, he messaged Wyatt about bringing up Jar Jar.
In space, no one can hear you, so scream.
Still thought Darth Jar Jar would have been cool.
I mean,
honestly, it would have been more interesting than what we.
Yeah.
Like,
unfortunately.
as much as I would have like laughed my ass off, it would have been better than somehow Palpatine returned.
I was going to say, what if instead of like Plagueis or any of that kind of stuff, or just a weird soup clone thing, what if Snoke was Jar Jar after all these years?
That was like the weirdest conspiracy theory. I'm talking about but I'm talking about during the prequels, not for the sequels. I'm talking
Yeah, I
about like
know.
Jar Jar in the prequels. Jar Jar appearing as like that's the thing. It's like with the prequels intact and Jar Jar shows up in the sequels. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fucking stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would have only worked in episode 3, not fucking episode 10.
I love the evidence for Darth Jar Jar is like when he waves his arms around.
When he waves his arms, and he's fucking convincing the whole fucking Senate to fucking vote for it. And he does look.
Oh, you cut out.
Yeah, sorry, I unplugged my fucking mic. But
You
yeah,
were
he
so
does
hyped
look
on
really,
Darth Jar Jar.
He really does look really happy. He's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's enough there. You can have it there. But anyways, guys,
I think we're good. This is supposed to be an hour, like a half-hour chat. It's almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, but then you fuckers fucking went live, and it's like, oh, I'm subscribed to our channel, so hold up. And then you didn't talk about Mortal Kombat. And I was like,
Yeah,
if only I was part of this podcast. Oh wait, and then I jumped in.
Yeah, this was super last minute thrown together.
That's fair.
So
much
with
like
that,
my profile pictures.
Yeah, I've been seeing you the mostly cut off gif of Freddy dancing.
Well, yeah, because it's the whole Gangnam Style dance, and it doesn't work out. So fuck it, just Sans with the Infinity Gauntlet. This is America. Don't get yourself.
This was a fun chat. I like talking writing concepts. I've been thinking about doing more of these.
That's fine.
Where we just talk about like just just tropes, and then kind of where fundamentally things are going wrong, instead of just saying like, hey, this sucks.
No, it's more interesting to talk about, the concept and how it can be used well, and how it can, why it's bad when it happens the way that it does, and hopefully we can help teach somebody out there, like, redraft, change
I think
your.
If it just reaches one person, they can finally think critically, which a lot of people fail to be able to do nowadays.
Yeah,
it would be really helpful. That's all we ask for. Just think for more than 2 seconds. That's all we want.
Yeah, think for 1 fucking second.
Exactly.
No, at least
but
two. First draft and second draft.
At least don't go with your rough draft. That's the whole thing. But even when you're watching media, think about it for literally a second. And granted, you can still enjoy stupid ass movies. Like we talked about fucking Transformers and fucking maybe even fucking watching Fast and the Furious. Those movies are fucking stupid, but they're kind of like the charm of like how dumb they are.
Oh yeah, and you can totally enjoy whatever you want, and there are people who get genuine enjoyment out of watching The Room, but they don't also then call it a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Yeah, it's that distinction. Like, you can like whatever you want, just acknowledge it's crap. I will never say Wild Wild West is a good movie.
And demand better crap. Like, I'm not saying every movie that comes out needs to be 10, but can I get more 6s and 7s, please? Can I get an 8 every now and again?
I was going to say, God forbid, an 8.
Yeah, can I get more of that and less like 2s and 3s? That would be phenomenal. I'm okay if a movie comes out and goes, yeah, it's fine, it's okay. But lately, it's just like everything that comes out is fucking shit. Especially when they're resurrecting all of our favorite old franchises. It's like, oh, you loved this thing in the 80s, early 90s? Guess what?
Hell, you love this thing from literally this decade? Well,
no, not anymore. Hold my beer.
No,
I think
not allowed to.
I think that's why the how does it feel to see all your favorite franchises go up in flames feels great. That's become like it used to be funny, and now that's just the truth.
It's just sad.
I feel like that meme is my spirit animal.
Mm-hmm. No, it's Rich Evans. Rich Evans is everybody's spirit animal.
I'm literally trying to think of like
we're all
any
Waluigi and Rich Evans.
I can get behind this. I'm trying to think of like one franchise that hasn't been like burned to the fucking ground right in front of me.
They mostly all have.
I was going to say Warhammer hasn't yet, but it's probably
I don't know.
gonna.
I was about to say, with all that fucking crazy shit I've been hearing about how fucking Games Workshop fucked over all their goddamn fan animators, that was pretty fucking disgusting.
I was thinking
doesn't have to be a fucking part of the thing to like even be a thing. Like you could still fuck up with the franchise.
Right. I was thinking like for a possible idea, it's like, oh yeah, Slayer and I are big 40K fans.
My concern would be that fucking employment application thing.
Yeah. Ugh.
Because that shit was pretty nasty.
Full fucking woke brigade, and that is going to trickle down into the content.
Yeah, of course. That's literally how it starts. You get all these fucking people, and it's like, oh, look how diverse we are. We just hired black people, lesbians, and all this shit. Okay, are you guys actually good at fucking writing? Oh, shit.
Nope.
Well, at least we're not racist.
Yep. All these companies are going to go bankrupt because their shit sucks.
But they're not racist.
But at least they're not racist. At least they're not misogynist.
Yeah. They'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
And all the fucking normies will just sit here and eat it up because that's what they do.
I was thinking of like because I try to think of like ideas for the channel all the time. With all the shows on that Warhammer TV thing, it was like yeah, we are.
Oh, okay.
It was like with Slur and I being big 40K fans, and you guys not really knowing that much. I've always thought like, oh, what would that be like for an episode where it's like, how did this show rate for us that do have the knowledge versus you guys that didn't? And but at the same time, I don't want to give Games Workshop money for that platform.
Mm-hmm. You can potentially do it with other media. It just depends on like what it is.
Right.
Like shit, I feel like I could fucking talk. I feel like I could talk all of you guys under the fucking table with my fucking Five Nights at Freddy's shit.
Well, that's what I'm doing with Star Wars. With that little group I'm doing with Tom and Jake. Because they
Jake the Surgeon and
and T-Cap.
T-Cap, yeah, T-Cap's.
Yeah, we're
links in the description.
We're like they're supposed to be like the everyman Star Wars fans, while everybody else is like EU fanboys, and we're gonna talk about like the good, bad, and the absolute fucking silly, and like they're basically supposed to play the straight man.
But Jake is gay.
Got him.
All right.
Yeah, see, the things that I like have that level of like nerd knowledge for, like either video games universes or like anime or like really fringe shit, like Final Fantasy.
Which one?
like pretty much everything from like 7 on.
Yeah, well shit.
I got I've done all the Soulsborne games, you know, big into all those. But
Yeah, I know how you feel. I have a bunch of popular ones I could talk about, but you guys are so fucking non-conformist that you're not even fucking looking at them.
well, I know. Why would I have to finish something first, and he doesn't
Right.
do that. So
Well, hey, you're not fucking. You're not guilty of the shit too. Don't
oh,
don't play
what
like
am I
that.
not? What am I not finished?
Well, not finished, but not starting and not looking at.
Starting. I can.
Well, hang on, starting, but then like backing out of.
What did I start and back out of?
Fuck, what was the game we were literally just thinking about the other day?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Smiling Friends.
No, that's just something he's not a fan of. And same thing with like Sea of Thieves. It's just shit he's not a fan of.
Right.
Like you said, that's
Yeah,
what I
I
was
mean,
just saying.
I'll try it, and then if I don't like it, I'll be like, "This is just not for me." But I don't have a problem like trying stuff.
That's fair.
Are you referring to what was that game you got super into?
So you're like, yeah. we've done it a couple
Echo
times.
Space thing, the Outer Wilds.
What? No, that's niche as fuck. Like I'll accept that nobody's gonna fucking like that, which is
Okay.
unfortunate because that's a goddamn fucking masterpiece of a game. But it is what it is. You can't fucking make somebody. You can't force a horse to drink. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink.
You can if you hold his head under the water.
So,
Well, then you
Jesus
might drown him.
Christ. With that, we'll see you all on Sunday. Jesus fucking Christ.